Hey guys, welcome to my channel Harshiva EDU. Recently I have cleared professional Scrum Master certification, and based on my experience I have sorted down 50 questions. Let's get started. What are the three roles of Scrum? Scrum has following three roles: product owner, developers and Scrum Master. What are the three pillars of Scrum? Scrum has following three pillars: transparency, inspection and adoption. What are the three artifacts of Scrum? Scrum has following three artifacts: product backlog, sprint backlog and product increment document. Who writes acceptance criteria? Product owner. What is user story? How to split it? User story is a piece of functionality from user's point of view. It has three components: as a, who, I want, what, so that, why. Like, as a developer, I want to create a save button so that I can save all entries. Or as a content manager, I want to create a release note so that user can see the enhanced features. You can split a user story keeping following task in mind: requirement analysis, creation of design document, review of design document, development, unit testing, review of test case scenarios from product owner. Testing happens in different environment. After that there are known issues and bug fixes, and then product owner, business analyst or stakeholder can verify the desired functionality to accept the user story completion. And final step is the final task that we will split in a user story is release. Who writes definition of done? Scrum team entirely writes definition of done. That means product owner, developers and Scrum Master. What is a skeleton of Scrum? Sprint. Sprint is the skeleton of Scrum. Who writes user stories? Product owner writes user stories. What are the 5 values of Scrum? 5 values of Scrum are as following: commitment, focus, openness, respect, courage. Who creates product backlog? Product owner creates product backlog. What is time box for a sprint planning meeting? 8 hours or less for 1 month sprint. If it is 2 week sprint, then 4 hours or less. If it is 1 week sprint, then 2 hours or less. What are 4 agile values? 4 agile values are as following: individuals and interactions over processes and tools. This means we should focus on interacting with people more rather than tools and processes. Working software over comprehensive documentation. No one wants to read, so let's focus on software more. Customer collaboration over contract negotiation. Rather than focusing on contract, let's focus on customer feedback and talking to customer more. Responding to change over following a plan. So rather than sticking to a plan, let's welcome the change. So this is the most important value of agile, that we welcome the change. What is duration of a sprint? 1 week to 4 weeks. Who creates product backlog? Product owner creates product backlog. Who is responsible for managing the progress of a Scrum team? Scrum Master. Who has authority to cancel the sprint? Product owner. What is heartbeat of a Scrum? Sprint. Upon what type of process control is Scrum based? Empirical process. What is time box for daily Scrum meeting? maximum 15 minutes. On what basis the product backlog is ordered? Value, risk, priority, and necessity. What is time box for a sprint review meeting? 4 hours or less for 1 month meeting, 1 month sprint. The CEO asks the developers to add a very important item to a sprint that is in progress. What should the developer do? Inform the other members in the Scrum team so the team can decide what to do. What is the typical size for Scrum team? 10 or fewer. Why is the daily Scrum held at same place and same time? The consistency reduces the complexity. This is why we ensure that daily Scrum happens at same place. When might a sprint be abnormally cancelled? When the sprint goal becomes obsolete. So these are the first 25 questions. You can go back and review it once. So let's start next 25 questions. Who is responsible for managing the progress of work during a sprint? The developers. When does a developer become accountable for the value of product backlog items selected for the sprint? Never. The entire Scrum team is accountable for creating value every sprint. What does sprint conclude? When the sprint retrospective is complete, the sprint is considered as concluded. During a sprint, a developer determines that the Scrum team will not be able to complete the items in their forecast. Who should be present to review and adjust the product backlog items selected? The product owner and the developers. What is the main reason for the Scrum Master to be at the daily Scrum? They do not have to be there. They only need to ensure that developers have a daily Scrum. Which two things should the Scrum team do during first sprint? Just think about it. I'm giving you a second. One, deliver an increment of useful and valuable product. Two, develop and deliver at least one piece of functionality. Who has the final say on order of product backlog? Product owner. Define Scrum. Scrum is a lightweight framework that helps people, teams, and organizations to generate value through adaptive solutions for complex problems. And this is our lightweight Scrum framework workflow. So first, a owner creates the product backlog. The product backlog will have separate items like epics or features. So I can see that there are 7 features in this product backlog. Then the team would start taking one feature, and in the sprint planning it would get discussed, and the sprint backlog would come up, and then the sprint would start. Scrum Master would ensure that daily stand-up meetings are happening properly, and once the sprint is over, the shippable product is ready. After that, product owner and BAs would show the demo of the shippable product in sprint review meeting, and once it is delivered, after that entire Scrum team would do sprint retrospective into which the Scrum team would think about the like what went well and what went wrong, and entire brainstorming over the past sprint and the things that we can improve in the upcoming sprint would be discussed. What are two ways of a Scrum Master's What are the two ways a Scrum Master serves to enable effective Scrum teams? One, by facilitating developer decision making. Two, by removing impediments that hinder the Scrum team. What is DOR and DOD? DOR is a state when user story is ready for to go for development. DOD is a state when user story meets and satisfies the acceptance criteria. What is a sprint zero? Sprint zero happens when the team is new to Scrum. It usually takes place before the formal start of the project to create a skeleton of the project. In Sprint Zero, Scrum Master helps the team in getting good its infrastructure and getting required KT, that is knowledge transfer, from SME, that is subject matter expert. Why the definition of done is important to the product owner? Because it creates transparency regarding the progress within the Scrum team and it establishes the expected quality of the increment reviewed at the sprint review. Adoption requires regular inspection. In what ways does the product owner contribute to the result achieved by the inspection? The product owner invites stakeholders to the sprint review to learn how the current state of the marketplace influences what is the most valuable thing to do next. The product owner shares the current state of product backlog at the sprint review, which combined with the inspection of the increment leads to an updated product backlog. In case the Scrum Master is not available, what would you still conduct the daily? Would you still conduct the daily stand-up meetings? Yes, we can very well go ahead and do our daily stand-up meetings without Scrum Master. What is MVP? Minimum Viable Product. A minimum viable product is a product that has just the bare minimum required feature which can be demonstrated and shipped to the stakeholders in each sprint. How do you calculate a story point? A story point is calculated by taking into consideration the development effort plus testing effort plus resolving dependencies and other factors that would require to complete a story. What is the role of management in Scrum? Support the product owner. Management supports the product owner with insights and information into high value product and system capabilities. Support the Scrum Master to cause organizational change that fosters empiricism, self-management, bottom-up intelligence and intelligent product delivery. What does it mean to say that an event has a time boxed? This means the event can take no more than a maximum amount of time. For example, the daily scrum is for 15 minutes or sprint planning is 4 hours for 1 month sprint. When does a developer become accountable for the value of a product backlog item selected for the sprint? Never. The entire Scrum team is accountable for creating value every sprint. Can multiple Scrum teams work together on the same product, maintaining one product backlog? Yes, answer is yes. When many Scrum teams are working on a single product, what best describes the definition of done? All Scrum teams must have a definition of done that makes their combined increment valuable and useful. When should the developers on a Scrum team be replaced? As needed while taking into account a short term reduction in productivity. What is burn down chart? A burn down chart shows the amount of work that has been completed in an epic or sprint and the total work remaining. This is burn down chart. It is days of sprint versus number of story points left. That means work to be completed. What is velocity chart? Why is it important in Scrum? Velocity is number of story points completed in each sprint. Once a team has calculated the average velocity, it can use the number of story points to plan future sprints. That means if in this sprint we have completed approx 10 user stories, then this means in next sprint also we can take up at least 10 user stories. So this is iterations versus story points completed. And one more thing I wanted to add here, like both these burn down chart and velocity charts are auto populated in project management tools like Jira and TFS or Rally. Question number 50. An organization has decided to adopt Scrum, but management wants to change the terminology to fit with terminology already used. What will likely to happen if this is done? So the answer is without a new vocabulary, as a reminder of the change, very little change may actually happen. The organization may not understand what has changed with Scrum and benefits of Scrum may be lost. Management may feel less anxious. Thank you so much. I wish you all the best. If you like my channel, please do subscribe to my channel. I will come up with a series of Scrum and Agile methodologies. Recently, I have been selected to a healthcare domain company as a development manager, and my work is basically on Agile and Scrum. So I'll keep on posting new videos on my learnings based on Scrum and Agile. So please subscribe me. Thank you so much. Bye for now.